Hello. What's up? I'm doing well. It's so nice to have you back. Thank you. Oh, it is. Oh no. I have no idea. We don't celebrate that here. I wasn't aware. I'm so sorry. Whoops. Free the turkeys. Oh, that would be adorable. From crazy cat lady to crazy turkey person. Thank you. Hello there. Welcome to the stream. Before we start, I'll do a quick sound check so we don't have any bloopers. But hi everyone, welcome. So yes, checking.
Bloopers are the life of any stream. You gotta have.
It's part
life
of
is
it.
Imperfect. So should we.
We are not either. Nobody is. All right. Checking.
Bloopers are the life of any stream. You gotta have.
It's part of it. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Awesome. Okay, let's start. Hey everyone. Hello there. It's magnoliapixiedani and welcome back to the YouTube channel. As you all know, I love video games, JRPGs, cozy games nowadays. But today we're gonna be talking about, yes, video games, but also self-improvement and life with the one and only Sean Chiplock. Woo! Say hi, everyone.
How are you doing? Always excited to combine my love of the craft with my love of psychology and understanding yourself, and yeah, improvements. I was trying to think of some crappy joke to follow it up with, but no, self-improvement is important. We're gonna be real.
Let's be real. Okay, so let's say hi first to the people who are here. Hello, Ari. Okay, disclaimer, some of us are actually awake even if it's 12 midnight where we live.
This is when the real fans are separated from the chat.
And the real fans are here! Yay!
Only real fans are awake at 8 a.m.
Are you a real fan?
Day.
It's Thanksgiving where Sean is from, so thank you for sharing your time.
Hello, Nines. I'm sorry for the other 8 of you that had to die for you to be here today. Congratulations, you're the one that made it.
Nines is here. Hello, Isaiah. Hello, Krasar. Thank you for spending the evening with us. What is sleep anyway? Yeah, that's true, right, chat?
I schedule my sleep. I tell it to go away, and then if it misses its appointment, I just stay up the entire night. That's how adulthood works nowadays.
Real, actually. All right. So before we start the deeper questions about life and being real, we have to introduce you properly, especially to the people here who are not aware of video games but want to learn from someone like you. So yeah, first question, introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Oh, no, I didn't know it was going to be a test. I didn't study for this.
I'm a teacher in real life, but today I'm a student.
Ruthless, evil. Hey everyone, my name is Sean Chiplock. I go online as Sonic Mega or VA Sonic Mega if you're checking out my Twitter. I am what is this, a PG-13 event? Like, am I allowed to say like shit poster? Is that a thing?
Shit poster is fine.
Alright, I'm a shit poster, I'm also a voice actor, I'm also a gamer. Somehow all three of those things I've achieved a professional level of status with. But most people know me for my career in voice acting. I've been very blessed to get to work on all sorts of projects throughout the years. I started voice acting in 2007, started transitioning to doing it full-time around 2013, so I actually, like, pretty much have just recently celebrated my 10-year anniversary of being a pro. Stuff that people would have heard me in includes Guido Mista in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I almost said The Legend of Zelda just then. I was so close to saying it. Guido Mista in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind, Mishima Yuki in Persona 5, Subaru Natsuki in ReZero. Over in the more of the video game sphere, we have Rivali Teba, the Great Deku Tree, and the Rito Sage in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, which I still think is totally crazy to be not one, not two, not three, but 4 different voices for a Nintendo property that's pretty well known for not having voices in the past. I feel like I should know more of my video game roles. Rein Schwarzer in The Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel, and Trails into Reverie franchise. What other big stuff am I in video games? Oh, Pewter and AI The Somnium Files. Most recently, back in animation, I voiced Kinger in The Amazing Digital Circus, which, my goodness, I don't think any of us, including the cast, were prepared for how many views that pilot got. So I'm just, any chance that I get to play around and be in cool stuff. Just throwing one last one, I got to announce recently that I'm Iki, who's this blue wolf dad husband bod material in a game called Astral Ascent, which is definitely, I think, would fall under the indie game sphere, but the quality of the direction and the quality of the game design is so cool that, to me, it's no different than a AAA project. So.
Yeah, indie games are really well developed, like passion projects for the. I think we'd also love to mention that you're also the voice of Nero in Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's so cool, yo!
Remake is cool to me for several reasons. First of all, because I am so honored to get to be part of such a beloved entry in the franchise that has been so gloriously remade. But also, not even just because of Nero, but because what a cool challenge it was voicing that game, because I kid you not, I think they had me voice like somewhere between 25 to 35 different NPCs for part 1 of that game. One of whom, I kid you not, is the radio voice that it's late in the game. It's late in the first part of the game when, or the first installment of the remake, when Cloud picks up a radio that's sitting just in the rubble in the ruins that they're climbing.
No way.
And the dude that on the radio doesn't realize he's talking to Cloud. He thinks he's talking to another soldier, and he says verbatim, "I need you to take out those shitheads." Pardon my French. But it's an actual line. I'm not making it up. But it was fun to me because it's like, man, how cool is it that the first time I'm in a Final Fantasy game like this, I get to be the one calling Cloud's that in front of all of the fans, and I get paid for it. And I just thought that was really funny.
I love that. Okay, pardon the French, yes, but don't worry, most of my students are like 17 plus years old. So.
Okay.
PG-13. Okay.
I will keep it in mind. I apologize.
It's all right. So since we're talking about all your experiences being a voice actor, I want to ask you our first question. So do you have any specific colleagues who you loved working with, particularly maybe from Persona, because the new Persona game just released, and do you have any funny or memorable moments with them?
So, what a lot of people don't realize is, especially in the voice acting sphere, it is actually very uncommon for us to be recording at the same time, and also very uncommon for me to even hear my colleagues' own performances before giving my own. Where you will most often have multiple people in the same room recording together is during prelay or animation recording, especially Western animation. That is when they will have the cast record first, and the animators have something to work around them. Maybe sometimes they might have a storyboard in advance. but for the most part, we will be recording on our own. That's been the case, for example, Digital Circus was me recording my lines. I had access to the script, but I didn't have access to like anyone else's performance. That was the case with the Persona 5 video game. Sometimes we don't even know what's happening around the scene because our script is literally just our characters' lines one after the other. That's happened for stuff like Genshin Impact. And so we have to rely on the director to give us the context around each line or each scene so that we can then visualize it and come up with our performance based on that. So while I can't directly answer the question of, you know, what was it like working with other colleagues, or are there any funny stories that happened during that, because I simply have not had enough instances of recording at the same time as my colleagues, I can answer it in the sense of what colleagues do I always enjoy hearing, or what colleagues do I really look up to in terms of pulling inspiration from, which I can absolutely name several. Austin Lee Matthews, who goes by Amtrax, I madly respect as someone who just understands how to play like a grounded, real performance. I always harken back to his performance in Chocobo Mystery Dungeon Everybody as the main character Sid. I should say the main character's sidekick Sid, based on the elements of the game. But I just remember listening to his performance going, man, I need to get better at not making my characters into caricatures in my performance, and Austin is such a great example of someone to learn from on that. Kellen Goff is a tour de force, whether it comes to creature voices or his humility towards fans. He's just such a good role model of an actor in general. Michael Kovac, I hope I'm saying that correctly, who goes by Kovacs online, Kovox. I am so mad impressed with his ability to play characters that could very easily be jerkwads or just be like sarcastic buttholes the entire time. But if you listen to his performance as Jax in Digital Circus, he is so good at playing a character that is smarmy but not mean-spirited. It's such a fine line to walk, and he dances it so delicately. I'm so impressed by that. Lizzie Freeman has incredible range. I could probably go on for like another half an hour on just, you know, the bits and pieces that I try to steal from so many of my colleagues, but it is important to me that the people that I perform alongside keep getting better and keep impressing me, because it keeps me on my toes as well. You know, if I'm always like, oh, I need to improve in this, I need to embody more of this, then it removes the risk of me getting complacent and then stagnating as a result and not improving my own craft. You know, voiceover needs to be an industry where everyone involved is always getting better and better and better and improving the overall quality, because it just makes us better, and it makes the end product better as well.
All right, that was so inspiring, actually. And, you know, passionate people talking and interacting with other passionate people. It's such a, overwhelming in a good way, of course. It's so overwhelming like that. Beautiful. All right, so what about meeting fans? What or which was the most memorable experience for you? And was there what's like the strangest thing a fan said to you as well? If there is.
See, my definition of strange is probably different to a lot of people, because I very much am a yes and kind of person. So like, I've had people at conventions where I'm signing stuff, I had someone bring up a pizza crust, a literal real pizza crust, and they were like, I don't eat pizza crust, and I'm like, if I autograph it, will you eat it? And they're like, I'll consider it. So I signed a pizza crust in black Sharpie, and then I broke it in half, you know, broke some bread, and we both cheers to each other, and we both ate half of a pizza crust. And so my autograph was forever a part of someone's body chemistry at that point, and I thought that was pretty fun. Some people might think that's strange. I thought it was pretty unique. In terms of fan interactions in general, a big part of why I like going to conventions so much is because this might be a little indirect, but way back in the days of like MySpace and LiveJournal, back when it was much bigger, I had a blog on a site called Xanga. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's Xanga, Xanga. And it was like, basically, what if MySpace was more anime than MySpace, you know? And one of the things that I really liked about Xanga is I loved making posts where I reflected on life, much like we are right now, but I would always end it with a question. Because I enjoyed having people who spent the time reading my blog taking a moment and sharing their thoughts with me, giving them the chance to interact and say their piece instead of just reading the words of some rando on the internet and then going about their day without any input whatsoever. And so conventions are fun for me because and even interviews like this where we can get questions and input from chat, because it's nice after spending day upon day hearing myself in the booth, which I promise you I do not get as much joy out of as you might assume. It's nice being able to get to interact with people who have actually played the things that I'm in, who've watched the things that I'm in, who are passionate fans and not just professionals, and be like, do you eat pizza crust? I love this poll. And it's so cool to me to get to hear everyone's individual stories and then go, it doesn't matter what they're a fan of, whether they were a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, whether they were a fan of Persona 5, or whether they knew me from Zelda, or whether they just knew me from my streams, like a live dub that I did. It's so cool to get to hear whatever it is that they're passionate about and then feed back into that and go, yeah, I have a story about that game, or I have a story about that experience. In the case of the streams, I have had people who really only came to know me because of tuning into my streams, and now I've gotten to meet them in real life. I've had people who have gone on to book actual voiceover jobs, either through my recommendation to casting directors or on their own merit, who started out by just being volunteers and doing voices for me during my live dub playthroughs that I would do on stream. And it's so heartwarming to see that folks are improving in their own way and defining their own life path, just as much as it is horrifying to recognize, oh, it's already been 3 years since you voiced for me in a live dub. Please stop getting older. This is terrifying. So,
oh no, we're getting to the real stuff. Getting older, let's go. Existential topic. Okay, Jola. So, we have a live chat poll right now, which you commented on while talking. But yeah, do you guys eat pizza crusts? Let me know. Of course, or hell no. Anyway, going back, yeah, I want to talk about, since we're on the topic of getting older, we're no longer students. Maybe some of us here still are students, but I remember still being a college student when Persona 5 first came out. And of course, Persona 3, I was still in high school or whatever. So it's so ironic how taking these fictional classes was more, fun to me or memorable to me than taking classes in the real world. You know what it's like.
I also enjoyed socializing with people and feeling like I'd actually done the right thing instead of messing up somehow.
And knowing if you disappointed them. But yeah, so that leads to my question. How does gaming help people escape reality, and where's the fine line of that?
Well, I think it can be as much an escape as it can be, I'm trying to think of what the proper word would be, not a reallocation, but a reframing of things that we may deal with in life. In terms of an escape, I know that a lot of people, especially in today's world, have to deal with a lot of things that scare us, whether it's, in my case, we're looking at contract renewals and contract definitions that could affect my ability to do work in the future. I know that there's a lot of people who, unfortunately, are dealing with members of government trying to take away rights that they should just naturally have, and that can be very scary as well. And it can be refreshing to have access to a game world where just for a little while you can go and experience a different universe and play as someone who has more power, has more control, is able to develop relationships with people. I don't want to say it's always an escape, because it's funny that you say that right after bringing up Persona 3, because Persona 3 is pretty famous for dealing with the concept of growing up into adulthood, and even the concept of death and remembrance and moving on and grieving, all of which are very, very heavy topics that in normal life people may not be comfortable dealing with. But when framed in the concept of a game or an allegorical allegorical story arc, or via symbolism in scenery, it's almost like we're more willing to experience it that way, because it's put into a context that we can play through at our own pace And if we're immersed in it, we can just keep going. And if it's overwhelming for us, we can put it down for a while, or even power through it and have a good cry and then talk with other people who experienced it. I think that is one of the magical things that video games offer, is that it is able to portray sensitive or emotional or empowering topics in a box that everyone can open and enjoy either equally or in their own way, and then share with each other. And they can come to an understanding together instead of trying to, I don't know, right now, I'm trying to find the words, I'm trying to find, a good example to share with you, but video games make it easy to go, oh, it's kind of like when this happens in this one game, and then there's a chance the other person can go, oh yeah, like I completely understand, I remember how much that scene tore me up, or how much that experience affected me. And not to get too heavy, but, we've seen tons of examples of, how video games have handled topics like suicide or self-harm or trans-realization. Oh my god, the number of people who played, Fallout New Vegas or Celeste and then went, oh my god, this game helped me understand that I was trans, and I didn't know before now. I didn't have it put in such a way that it helped me recognize that about myself. So I do find it funny that people treat video games as an escape, when it feels like more and more often nowadays video games have become a catalyst for people to discover things about themselves, or to be able to share feelings and emotions and understandings that previously they weren't sure how to put into words.
That's really beautiful, actually. I didn't think about it that way, because, okay, everything, I think the entire Manic Pixie, previously now magnoliapixiedani branding, or the entire thing I do, my art form, it's about fantasy, escaping reality, right, romanticizing life, because life can be hard. Like your t-shirt in our first interview. Life is hard, but if you think about it that way, if you can think of video games actually helping you discover different angles of life or yourself, your identity more, it's really beautiful. It's like any other media or art form, or even literature. As a teacher, of course, I love talking about that.
The game has changed. Like maybe back in the 80s and 90s, maybe the early 2000s, video games were more of a way to pass the time, or a way to challenge yourself with puzzles.
Very arcadey, yeah.
There's a classic game that I'm literally playing right now on the Nintendo Switch online service for Switch called Fire and Ice, it's straight up a puzzle platformer. That's all it is. But nowadays, oh my god, games are stories. Games are stories. Look at Baldur's Gate 3. Oh my goodness, just watching my wife play that, there's probably 20 different ways that you could approach any of the scenarios in that game, and all of them have human elements to them. Even when you're talking with creatures from, the other world, they all have human issues that they're dealing with. They all have personal problems that they're asking for your help with. So really, you can say it's an escape, but it's actually just, it's empowerment. It's giving you the chance to explore and experience all of these different scenarios, and take control over how you respond to them.
I really like that, especially the control part. When you feel like your life is out of control, actually,
right, you
can learn how to navigate, especially with these role-playing games nowadays. They actually feel like real people with real personalities. They don't just say yes because you ask them to. No, you have to convince them like a real human being. It's like practice.
Thanks to Baldur's Gate 3, if I ever in real life run across a demon or a tiefling who has a sister that was turned into a goat and needs my help to kill a hag in a forest, I will know precisely what to do, and I have video games to thank for that.
Yes, thank you for the practice if that happens. Okay, so maybe we can talk a little bit more about since we're talking about literature a while ago, and I still want to make this educational, yay, for my students, of course. So let's talk a little bit about literature and the types of characters. So I would think that maybe arguably Mishima is a deuteragonist or sidekick that helps Joker, right, throughout the story. And their presence, or the presence of these kinds of characters, actually gives the story warmth and heart. So it's not really just about the hero's journey, but also the friends you meet along the way. So my question is, how do you think this relates to real life, and how do you think, the significance of the character Mishima, if you relate it to
Part
real
of
life?
what I liked so much about Mishima is, besides the fact that he is a survivor of abuse, reminding people that there is an escape, there are people who are willing to help you, that what you're going through, if you are experiencing abuse like that it is not your fault, and you are okay, and you're not damaged or irreparable. There is a way to escape that. I also like that even after Mishima becomes a survivor of abuse, it doesn't automatically mean that he is infallible. I really appreciate that even though Mishima recovers from that he is still susceptible to envy and jealousy, things that I identify a lot with as well. For example, to start with my journey and then tie it back to Mishima. When I started in voiceover, I was, of course, terrible. Like, my Newgrounds profile is still up. You can go see some of the old projects that I voiced in where I had a lot of heart, but not a lot of experience to back it up. And as I've improved over the years, I've had a chance to be in a lot of really, really cool things. But even though I have this developed career, how I have booked roles that people, still go crazy over when I'm at conventions, that has not stopped me from having to deal with those feelings of jealousy or envy when I see other really cool projects that I didn't manage to land or that I didn't even get to audition for, and I see colleagues of mine that I feel like I should be on par with landing major roles in that, and it can be hard to fight off those feelings of, what am I doing wrong? Or like, am I just not desirable? Why can't I be as talented as they are? Why can't I be booking as consistently as they seem to be? And that ties back to Mishima, because Mishima, he survives from abuse, and he's like, all right, I can be whatever I want to be. And then he turns and he looks at the Phantom Thieves and he goes, well, they're really cool. I want to be that. Why can't I be that? Is something wrong with me? Why do they get these special powers and I don't? And it leads to him becoming really bitter. Like, he kind of tries to force himself into their group, and it gets to a point where I wouldn't call him an antagonist, but you see in both the game and the anime, they have to go in and change his heart, because he ends up leaning so heavily into that envy and jealousy that it begins to eat away at him mentally. And I really appreciate that the game is willing to show, hey, we are all capable of getting lost in our emotions. We're all capable of falling or leaning towards a dark side of ourselves if we get too wrapped up in these things. It's important to have friends that are willing to look out for us and help steer us back on the correct path. So I think it's really cool that he starts out the game on one side of a character issue spectrum. He gets back to center and then ends up going too far to the other side and needs the help of his friends to bring him back to center. And the first problem was an external influence, and the second problem was an internal influence. And I just like that we got to see both sides in the same character over the course of the game. And it's so cool to me that kind of character arc happens from one side character out of a game that has how many different confidants. I didn't get a chance to play the game, so I don't know how many there are. I assume there's at least like 5 or 6 or something like that, possibly more than that. But the fact that there's so much development from a single character is really cool to me.
Yeah, now that you mention it, that is so true. I think the thing that makes Persona not just as a video game, but as an RPG, it's because of how well written each of the characters are. Just like you said, how the development of this side character, it shows a lot of character development, and even the possibility of the reality that human beings are actually capable of being a less healthy, more, I don't know, maybe evil, quote unquote, version of themselves. Maybe we end up losing ourselves along the way. But then once again, there is hope. There is always a chance for everyone to like shift their life, get back on track, and find purpose and meaning. So yeah, I think that leads back to my next question, very relevant also. This is the last question, by the way, before we can go to the Q&A portion where the chat can ask questions and of course, the participant who won. So anyway, my question is, Yuki Mishima, he actually has this quote, this voice line that I super love and resonate with. So I'm gonna say it out loud, but I hope you can say it also because obviously it's not I didn't voice it, so it might be better to hear it from you. But the line goes like this: I may not be able to change the world, but I can change myself. Whether I sulk about my inability to do anything or hang my head high and look to the future, my perception shapes the boundaries of my world. And it all comes down to what's inside my heart.
Yeah.
So I really love that. So
it is. I know that people can counter and say, "Well, how do you not feel helpless? With everything going on in the world." And it's true. It can be very overwhelming to think of the things that we don't have a lot of control over. But on a professional aspect, I tell people, I don't have control over who makes the casting decisions. I don't have control over what projects I get access to most of the time. The only thing I do have control over as a professional is how ready I am for the opportunities that come my way. I can't force people to give me a chance, but what I can do is train myself so that whenever I am given an opportunity, I can bring my A game and make the most of it. There's a perfect example of, there was an intensive workshop that I did recently. It was the first chance in a long time that I had to work with that particular casting director. The first opportunity I'd had in years. And all I did was I came prepared to learn. I tried to implement everything that I had practiced over the years, and I knocked it out of the park. To just put it gently, I wildly impressed that casting director, and it led to opportunities I didn't even know were possible, because in that moment, I just focused on doing the best job that I could do. But even from a personal aspect, that quote from Mishima rings so true, because I sometimes get in trouble with loved ones, because I'm definitely someone who tries to offer solutions and just instead of just condolences. I'm sure there's someone in chat that'll be like, "Oh my God, I'm the same way." But for me, it's when I look at problems that cause us suffering and concern, I think, well, beyond helping ourselves get over it emotionally, you have to think, well, what is causing the problem in the first place? Because if you don't solve the problem, or if you don't change the situation that's causing that concern, you're gonna run into that same problem over and over and over and over and over again. And so, I'm not gonna say I'm perfect. There are definitely lots of things that I complain about, but don't really do anything to make different. But at least I recognize that, and I think it's important for people to recognize one of the easiest ways to change your life situation is to change something about your life, whether that's a diet or a daily routine. There's been times where I have cut social media out of my life, like Facebook. I remember when I finally left Facebook, because I was like, this is not helping my daily routine. It is not assisting me. It's not making me feel any better. I need to go do something else with my time. Nowadays, I can't even fathom how I made time for Facebook. My day is so busy, so consistently, that I look back and I'm like, how did I spend an hour to 2.5 hours a day browsing this stuff? When did I make the time for that? So, I do love that quote a lot, because I remind people that often our main focus should be just being the best self that we can be on any given moment. And that doesn't have to mean being perfect or even being high quality. If on a certain day you just don't have the spoons to do anything but make sure you eat food and get to bed at a decent hour and survive, do that. I have absolutely had days where it felt like I was just a workhorse robot going through task after task after task after task, because in the moment, that's what needed to get done. It wasn't fulfilling, and I didn't have fun, but I was able to get it done, and I was able to keep myself afloat. Some days we're swimming an entire river from one side to the other, and some days we're just doggy paddling until we have more energy. Both of those are equally valid as long as you are looking after yourself.
Oh, guys, I needed to hear that. I hope that advice was helpful for you too. Because, yeah, like we started with this entire interview in mind. We wanted to talk about, self-improvement. We wanted to talk about life and the connection of how a video game can actually teach you life lessons like this and how to continue with life. Even if you feel not so good, there are days that you will truly feel that way. So I hope that this conversation resonated with you guys as well. And yeah, going back to our poll, we have here Persona 5 winning the poll. Which Persona is your favorite?
What
Persona 5.
surprise.
Wow, I'm so shocked.
Who would have guessed?
I was hoping for more Persona 3 fans here because that's my answer. I love Persona 3 and I can't
Maybe if
wait
we'd
for
done
the
this like
remake.
a week or two after the remake came out, we probably could have skewed the results a bit more.
Maybe. But yeah, thank you. Okay, 9 says here, I needed to hear that. I felt the attack. Did you?
Right. I don't hold back. I will punch you in the sternum
relentless.
lovingly, but I will, yes.
Lovingly. Okay, so now is our time for the question and answer portion. May I call on Aaron, our lucky pixie who was able to join our call. You may open your video camera right now and wait, let me check. Yes, okay. Yes. If you're here, feel free to open your video camera and then tell us your question or request for, Mr. Sean Chiplock. Okay, we're just waiting here. But in the meantime, you guys may now ask your questions. Do you have any questions or voice line requests for Mr. Chiplock? Hello!
You do the same thing I do, where you type out what you're writing as you do it.
And I say it out loud. Hi! This is
Hello.
Aaron. He's also a fellow cosplayer.
Everyone's rooms are so much cleaner than mine. I feel attacked.
Alright, so you can ask when you're ready.
I don't know I can hear 2 voices.
You don't know, you can't hear 2 voices, or is there just a delay?
Hello.
Hello.
There's a little bit of delay. Hello, thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to meet you.
For sure.
I can't believe I can't believe I'm seeing you guys right now.
Thank you
I
for
know, I
participating.
didn't believe I was real either. I thought I was just like a meme on the internet.
A voice in the mirror.
It's not real.
Hello. Yes, I decided to cosplay Mishima today, so I'm so glad that you guys talked about him. Hello. The bandage.
Underrated but great character.
My question would be, if there's any video game world that you could visit, what would it be?
Oh man, see, I have to think about this one because, I want to jump at the chance to say Etrian Odyssey, but then I'm like, no, that's a very dangerous world. I would die immediately. I think if it was a video game world to visit, I think it would probably be one of the Mega Man Battle Network worlds, or Star Force. Like, I have daydreamed so often about living in a technological world where, like, you could interact with, like, a virtual avatar that acts on its own accord or that you can, like, give commands to. And I would totally be the guy who in his free time goes around to like parts of the net that need like virus busting and like works with his pet to go, tackle viruses and clean up the net a bit and fix programs that are on the fritz. So many daydreams I would have about that game and its mechanics. So that would definitely be the universe that I would go to.
Oh wow, that sounds so fun. Thank you for telling me.
Of course!
So nice.
What about for yourself?
Oh no, that's very hard. For now, I think Genshin Impact.
Genshin?
Because the elemental world is so nice, and I'd love to be a vision holder, specifically Hydro, and walk around on the water and stuff.
I'll tell you what, if I had access to the glider, the first thing that I would be doing is like running off of every high point I could find in the world, and then taking the glider out so I could just see how far that I could travel.
Dude, it's so nice.
I'd be taking trips to like the mountain ranges or the mountain hikes in California and then just be like, hey, you know any good cliffs to jump off of? Right? Yeah!
See if I do that. Well, funnily enough, my voice line request is actually from D-Look. Can you tell me what he'd react if he knew that I had a C3 D-Look?
I tell you to
in
get
his
one.
voice.
I would tell you to get one more of me, because then my damage will be explosive.
D-Look is very goal-oriented, yes. I love that, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alright, thank you so much for joining us, Aaron. And yeah, I hope you
So cool.
appreciated this interaction. So yeah, I'll see you around. Thank you so much. So we're gonna now go on to the chat's questions. We have a few questions already, so thank you for participating. Yeah, we have one really good one here from Paladin. So how the heck do you stop being a people pleaser and just enjoy life?
How do I stop being a people pleaser and enjoy life? That's an interesting question to tackle, because I just am a people pleaser at heart. Like, whether it's in my professional life or my personal life, I notice that I get a lot of joy when I'm able to, just make others' lives a little bit better. I recognize that I have a lot of privilege, to be honest. My career has been extremely flexible. To give an example, the fact that I had a career that was pretty easy to manage during the pandemic. I think of how many people were displaced during the pandemic shutdowns. Meanwhile, things were slow for us for a while, but then once we were able to start using our home studios, a lot of us were still working throughout the pandemic, and we avoided the risk of catching COVID in the process. So not only was my job not gone during the pandemic shutdown, I was still working and making money, but then I think about, the fact that next week starts 3 weeks of travel. Like, literally next week I go to the UK for a convention, and then I'm taking a personal trip to Chicago, and then I'm going to another event to talk business with a different company. And anytime that I go to a personal convention, there's plenty of personal conventions I've gone to. I think this year I've gone to at least 5 or 6 conventions just because I wanted to go to them. And I think of all the people that I see there, and all the times I hear them say, yep, this is the con that I saved up my vacation time from my job to get to go to this year. The fact that they waited all year working a job that they probably had to go into the office for every single day in order to go to this one event that they're trying to make the most of. And it breaks my heart. It really does, because I feel almost a little bit of survivor's guilt in that I just have this freedom to go to so many of these events. And so how this ties into the question is, there's my wife would confirm this, and I know at least one of my friends or partners would confirm this. When I'm at cons, for even if I'm just going as an attendee, I almost always end up making it about, hey, is there anyone else that I know that's going to this con that would like to meet up and hang out and do something together? And I've had cons where I spent more time meeting up with other people and doing stuff with or for them than doing stuff for myself. And to me, it brings me some calm, because it's like, I'm glad that I can give someone else some of my time or some of my finances or some of my opportunity, so that they have a chance to just that their lives just momentarily are a little bit better. Whether it's volunteering time for stuff like Fastest Furs and raising money for trans hotlines, and helping raise money for trans resources. Whether it's spending my time doing interviews and being able to give advice to people about things to keep in mind or pitfalls that they should avoid. I really, really enjoy being able to provide that for people. Now, there is still the aspect of, how do I avoid becoming too much of a people pleaser? I think it's really important to remember that there are way too many people in the world for us to dedicate our time to everyone. So having boundaries is important. Having the ability to say, this is my limit and this is what I'm comfortable doing is important. There are times when I have paid for people to attend workshops that they couldn't afford. There's times that I have gifted money to an organization that is trying to raise money for that purpose. And I do worry that people might see that as an opportunity and come to me and say, hey, can you throw me money? I'm trying to raise money for this. Or, my pet needs a veterinarian visit and I can't raise the money for that. And it can feel very hard to say no, and it's very risky falling into that trap of just constantly shelling money out to strangers that you've never met. So it's ironic because this also calls back to being the best self that you can be. You are not a bad person for saying no and looking after yourself, as long as you are how do I word this? I gotta word this carefully.
Gracious in saying no.
Yes. Because I try my best to be gracious and kind and open-minded and giving, it makes it easier for me to say no at those times when I'm not able to or not interested in doing it because I'm not a jerkwad outside of it. You know what I mean? To give an example of my professional career, I am very much a people pleaser when it comes to my clients. If they ask if I can have something done by the end of the week, I'm trying to have it to them by the next day, if not that same evening. I go above and beyond way more than is asked of me in trying to meet their needs and make them happy. But it pays back, or it comes back to me karmically, because then when there are situations when I go, I need some more time for myself, or I just, I need to be able to take until this day to work on it instead of this day, you would be amazed how quickly my clients go, oh, no problem. Take the time that you need. We can wait for you. We can wait until next week. And so that's a case where being a people pleaser can work for you, because if you look out for others around you, then on those occasions where you are the one who needs a little extra help, you'll quickly see that others will jump at the chance to be the people pleaser for you. So being a people pleaser is not a bad thing as long as you don't do it in excess. Understand your boundaries, be willing to express those, and I would say more than anything else, it's also a matter of who you surround yourself with. So I know all of us are addicted to at least one social media site, whether that's, Twitter or Blue Sky or Instagram or something else. Threads, I don't know if that's still a thing, but so my recommendation to you is whenever you're interacting with someone on there, ask yourself, is this really someone that I want to be spending 2 hours of my day with? Now, in terms of whether that's building up a community that you love being a part of, or pushing back against trolls or people who are trying to get into arguments with you, just ask yourself, is this worth my time? Is this a productive use of my time? Am I gaining anything from this, whether it's emotional closure or even, an opportunity in the future? And if you find that you're wasting your time on strangers who really don't deserve it, just stop. There I say this, and I know it's hypocritical because I'm sure people have seen me clapping back on Twitter at people, but there are very few arguments online, at least, that are truly worth winning in quotes, because you'll be like, oh, I totally showed that person, and I totally, I put them on blast, I cooked them, and then 5 hours later you're gonna realize nothing was achieved. That person isn't gonna think you're cooler because you owned them in an argument, and now that's time out of your day that you could have spent on literally anything else. So just be aware of that.
Thank you so much for the really comprehensive answer. I'm pretty sure I can read the chat, a lot of people agree with a lot of things you were saying. As for myself, I would like to share that I might be kind of the opposite. I love helping people. I love doing my advocacies for my students, for my community, for my friends. I love helping out people. But at the same time, the level of introversion I have and the level of adulting burnout as well. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to keep giving to other people. So I reached a point where I kind of really choose which conventions, events, or shoots I go to. I'm really sorry, my friends know this. Hello, those in the chat. There are literally some people here who I normally collaborate with, but then they know that I am so burnt out, so I don't attend everything. And that's when you know that, I think you mentioned this in our previous interview actually, that's where you know what really matters to you, Like when you set aside time, even if you're drowning, even if you're burning, this is fine. Why? Because you care about these people, you care about the community, and it just really makes
I do it
you
for my stream as well.
Yeah.
Like my stream community, I do my best to be consistent with my stream, but my stream community, my stream chat knows that as soon as business stuff gets a little more intense, like if I have a recording session that I want to conserve my voice for, the stream is the first thing to go. I keep them updated, but I'll say, hey, I'm canceling stream today because there's this thing tomorrow that I want to focus on, and more often than not, setting that boundary and saying I need to take a break from this so I can focus on this has worked out for the better. There are so many cases where I have absolutely destroyed a session in the best way that I probably wouldn't have been able to do that if I was still recovering from screaming my voice or screaming my head off, doing a stream the day before. So my community understands and they respect that and they trust that it's better for me, it helps me emotionally, and it usually results in a better product down the line that they can then enjoy once that releases.
That's so true. There was a point where I kept getting sick, and then when I realized that I should say no, that's when I started to actually have real progress on my personal projects, on my upcoming music or music videos takes every now and then, because these stuff, they take a lot of time. You have to really sit down to accomplish these things, and they may not be on the internet every day I upload music. That's impossible. Every day I upload a new YouTube video. That's impossible because it takes more time to sit down. And I'm sorry if I have to hide in my cave, but I have to finish this right now. So it's the balance, truly.
I find it funny that Aries says that on the left is an introvert, on the right is an extrovert, because I am not extroverted. I'm not. I can be extroverted. I know that in social situations, I'm able to flip on a switch and provide energy and look happy and jovial and stuff like that.
Introverts know how to
anyway,
show up for events.
That is my mask. Anyone that knows me personally will tell you that I am 100% capable of sitting on a couch and playing my Nintendo Switch for 12 hours straight without saying anything. I will just be in my own happy little world, just watching, doots and beeps on a screen. And also, even though I can socialize, very few people have seen, but it does exist, people have seen when that social candle burns out. When I socialize, when I'm an extrovert, a candle gets lit and it's burning through the wax, and as soon as that wax for the day is gone, I shut down. People have watched me go from smiling and nodding to being 5 minutes later, I'm trying to hang on, and then there's some point where I'm just when it's completely burned out, I'm just yep. Oh yeah, totally. I check out, and when my wife sees it happen, she's like, "You are gonna sleep when we go back. You are gonna
hibernate mode."
So hard, right?
Yeah. So before I read out the next question, I wanted to ask you, since we're talking about introversion and whatever, do you know your MBTI or Enneagram?
I don't.
No.
I think it's introverted. Feeling something.
I have a huge
shit poster. I don't know. It's I did it once upon a time, way in the back, way back when, several years ago. I can keep making allegories for that because I'm stuck for time. But I don't know. We're capable of changing over time. I'm worried about people who take that test and then say, "Oh, this is what the test said I was, so I am going to exhibit."
They make it their entire personality.
Precisely.
You can actually challenge the answer of the test to see if that.
There are definitely aspects of myself that I more closely embodied 5 or 10 years ago that I'm very different about today. I used to be way worse at handling social interactions and managing myself, and I think I'm a lot better at it now. I would also say I wasn't as good at forming my words and providing insightful conversation, as opposed to just kind of being random, and I also feel that I've improved leaps and bounds in that. So we're human beings. We're capable of changing over time, so...
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So now let's get on to another question we have from Isaiah Antonio. He's been asking this since a while ago. So do you have any advice to this new voice actor on how to take care of your voice after feeling under the weather, especially when you have projects lined up?
Hydration is key. The rule of thumb usually is that you should be drinking water consistently starting like 24 hours before any recording session. But in all honesty, you should just be drinking water consistently anyway. You don't need to overdo it. Like doctors have often said, your body, after thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of evolution, has gotten really good at letting you know when something needs to be done. Like when you need food, it will tell you you're hungry. When you need water, it will tell you are thirsty. So really, just listen to your body's needs. If it tells you that it's thirsty, drink some water. Don't ignore that.
Stay hydrated.
There are lots of remedies that people suggest. There's hot teas that you can drink to soothe your throat. Although if you're trying to take care of your voice, your vocal cords, you really want to do something like a saline mist. You want something that's going to treat the lungs, because tea and other consumables are going down one passageway towards the stomach, but I always forget between esophagus and trachea or something else, but your lungs and the passageways that go from your mouth to your lungs are a completely different passageway. So you have to make sure you're taking care of the pathway that's going to your lungs, not just the one that's going to your stomach. But when you're worn out, when you're trying to prepare for a session, honestly, one of the best things that you can do for yourself outside of what I just mentioned is minimizing how often you're talking. If you know you're going to be recording the next day, don't be going to a concert and screaming your head off, or at least, respect yourself enough to not scream when you're at the concert. Like I said, if I'm normally streaming and I would be doing intense voices, I may tell my stream, I'm taking a break today so that I can prepare for tomorrow. Try to just minimize speaking unless it's absolutely necessary. And if your voice is worn out after a session, the best thing that you can do for yourself is to not talk at all. Find a way to communicate via text or by writing messages down for people. When your vocal muscles are worn out, like any workout that you would do at a gym, you don't work that muscle out more. You have a rest day, That's why people they have leg day and then they give their legs a chance to rest while they work on something else. When your vocal muscles are worn out, let them rest so they can rebuild and be stronger than before. So it's pretty straightforward. It's like, don't overwork yourself, stay hydrated, know your limits, establish your boundaries, especially if a client is trying to push you to do something that's going to hurt you or that's becoming excessive, and just be good to yourself.
That's a really good point. I mean, I think it's also applicable for vocalists, musicians, performers of all kinds. And you mentioned that your vocal cords, this is a muscle. So you should be practicing it and training it. And I know there's some certain techniques you can do so that you don't strain your voice. Like, you don't screech. Use your vocal cords properly to emit a certain sound, right? So it's a lot of practice. And he says thank you, yay. Let lots of water and don't talk. Got it. Okay.
Right. But so as you said, there are techniques as well, when you're warming up before a session, you can hum. A lot of people do small scale humming in order to bring their throat back down after a session to kind of ease it into relaxation. Or relaxation mode. Look up what works best for you. For some people, drinking certain liquids before a session is a really bad idea, like drinking dairy is a really bad idea, or spicy stuff. For some people, spicy stuff may help clear your throat out, and it may help clear your sinuses. So find out what works for you, and then work it into your routine as needed.
All right. I hope you learned from that, guys. So let's move on now to the next question. So we have here from Chicken Feet. What is your best game of the year 2023?
What is your best game of the year 2023? Probably a game I'm playing right now called Small Saga, which just came out, I think, last week. I'm going to look up who made it because I want their name to be correct. By Darya Nogani. I'm gonna link to their Twitter real quick. Small Saga is, I want to say, about an 8 to 10 hour indie game if you do absolutely everything that there is in the game. Oh wait, I can't post because subscribers only mode. I will send it to you here in the group chat in case you want to share it there. That I just streamed it yesterday, and I got about, I want to say, halfway, if not 3/4 of the way through. And I plan on finishing it on Monday. And I plan on describing it to people as this year's Undertale. I don't know if it's going to be as a big a smash hit as Undertale was, but it has all of the same elements. It's bite-sized. It's a bite-sized game. It has really good writing. It has really interesting characters, really funny interactions. There's a lot of elements of it that remind me of Undertale, like how you upgrade equipment and like the skills that people have. And I just think it's worth checking out. I think it's a wonderful game that is absolutely worth the $20 that I spent on it. And if people are curious that are in chat right now, I would tune in on Monday afternoon, next Monday, because we are going to be finishing the game. And I was grateful enough to be given a copy of a Steam code for the game by the creator. So I will be giving that out when we finish the game on Monday as well.
Let's go! Yes, I really love how you mentioned an indie game, because I'm also a huge fan of indie games, particularly cozy indie games right now. It's just really passion projects, and they're actually doing a lot of changes in the game. Well, in the entire industry, that's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's really cool. I hope you guys check it out and check out his stream, of course. So let's go on to the next question. We have over here, wait, it's not loading. Oh, yes. Okay, so from Aerie, I know this might be a difficult question given all the roles you've done, but do you have a favorite character you've voiced, and why? One character only.
Do I have a favorite character that I voiced?
Yes.
Oh man.
I know.
If I have to pick one, it would be Subaru, because Subaru was my chance to show the anime world that I know what I'm doing and that I'm willing to do what it takes to match the level of quality that the Japanese performers brought to the table. I love that I was able to help give life to such an interesting and unique anime and story. I love the community that has cropped up around it, and I like Subaru as a character. There's so much of him that I identify with, and I'm just so grateful that I was able to do him justice. And I hope that if a season 3 happens, that I will be entrusted to come back as the character and show people how I've grown over the years. But I am very proud of what I did as Subaru. Of course, I don't think it was perfect, but there are many moments in his performance that I'm very proud of, even to this day.
That's so nice. So I hope you're satisfied with that question, Aerie. Thank you for the question. And yeah, it was actually I remember asking this question last time in our last interview with Gank, and I think you also had a difficulty trying to figure out only one character. And given all the memories you had attached to every single character you've done, I'm pretty sure a lot of them are meaningful to you and memorable to you. So yeah, thank you so much. All right, so we have a question from Nines. Nine says, I really admire you for being able to speak your mind. How do you overcome thoughts that people may or may not attack you for having something to say about anything? I don't know if I said that right, but that's what Nine said.
I want to preface my response by saying I don't think I am a genius. There are still times where I say something that or comment on something that I later realize, I'm not that knowledgeable about it. I probably would have been better if I just kept my mouth shut. Part of also being human is recognizing that, again, we are not infallible. We can definitely make mistakes, and what should matter is our ability to understand when we've messed up, take accountability and responsibility for it, and then work to become better people, not just go, oops, that was my bad, and then not do anything to change the situation. Part of it stems from knowing and trusting that in my heart I am a good person. We all have good intentions, and that doesn't stop us from messing up at times. But I know that at my core that I try to be the best person that I can be, that I try to look out for others, that I try to be aware of the privilege that I have. And for the most part, that kind of works in my favor. You know, there's times where I have messed up, but I notice that people go, that's it. It was a mess up. You know, it was one short-sighted behavior, or it was one slip up from someone who otherwise does their best to be good to everyone around them, and you know, tries to lift others up and be the best person that they can be. But also, oh man, there's so many layers to this question as well. How I repeat the second half of the question, it was how I don't get affected or don't let myself get affected by opinions that others have about things that I say.
Yes. How do you overcome the thoughts that you may have when people have things to say about you? Basically,
self-reflection is important. You know, I ask myself, was it important for me to say what I said? Was it because it came from a place of my ethical beliefs or my personal beliefs? Was I saying something because I am standing up for LGBT and as an ally, or am I saying something because I respect the performance that somebody gave? You know, I like that I'm able to help close the gap between fans and professionals when it comes to the voiceover industry. And I try to give a lot of background insight as to, here's why this decision might have been made, or here's why I think it's unfair that someone is being attacked in this way, within reason, of course. But also, I try to remind myself, at the end of the day, whose opinions matter versus others. So, for example, I am always open to critique and criticism of my performances. Constructive critique and criticism, I should say. But when it comes to my career, the client is the one that writes the check. So the client gets to say what they want for their project. I have had cases where people were like, why the hell did he voice a character like this? They sound way too young, you know, it doesn't fit with the vibe. And I'm not going to get into a fight with them. Again, this is part of that moment of realization of going, is it really worth spending a half hour explaining to this person, here's why this decision was made, outside of like an interview scenario? But in my mind, I know, okay, the reason why you did this kind of performance was because that performance was what made the client go, we're happy with this, and paid you the money that helped you afford your monthly expenses. So at the end of the day, that opinion matters a lot more than some stranger on the internet who goes, I think this sounded too young and wasn't a good fit. Sure, if the client ends up feeling that way, they might not hire me for the character again in the future. I totally get it. But when it comes to my work, the person who is hiring me to work for them gets the final say on what I do. So
that's so true. I mean, a lot about opinions is that they're just opinions. And the only thing that should truly... I mean, the reason why there are, like, industry standards is because it's already standardized. And an opinion doesn't have to change the standard, basically. So they're hiring you, they're trusting you for a reason, and that's very valid. I wanted to add something to that question. I feel like it's also something that resonates with me, so thank you, Nines, for the question. I think, like, I watched This Summer before and read This Summer before. You have to have the courage to be disliked. It sounds so scary, like the idea of not being liked by other people. It's like
the self-reflection is the important part. It is okay to be disliked, but you just have to ask yourself, why do they dislike me? Because if they dislike you because of something that you yourself are doing that even you don't like that about yourself, then ask yourself, what can I do to change that? But if they dislike you for something that you don't have any control over, or especially for something that you do because it's important to you and that is an important aspect of yourself, then F them, you know? That's they don't control your life. It's like getting mad over two people in a homosexual relationship. Why do you care so much about something that has no impact on your own life?
On your life, exactly. Sometimes hate can be irrational, and we have to just, zone out from the hate. So maybe, once again, you can self-reflect, but don't do it to the point that you hate yourself. I mentioned this in one of my lessons recently with my students. There's such thing as intrapersonal communication, which is self-talk, and interpersonal communication. And most of the time we practice interpersonal communication, like talking to other people, but we don't realize that communicating with yourself is also really important. So how can you improve on this? Yes, you have to reflect, but at the same time, don't go too far where you're so critical in yourself. So I think that's really important for everyone to, realize. So yeah, thank you so much, Nines. And yeah, they replied, I understand that very much. Sad, crying face. Oh no. Okay, don't cry. Okay, let's move on to the next few questions. Aaron says, is Luxray your favorite Pokemon? If not, which one is your favorite? Because of your plushie over here.
Luxray is as much of a meme as it is something that I genuinely accept at this point. A lot of people don't know this, but way back when, and I'm talking like, way back when, more than a decade ago at this point, I used to be part of a Pokemon roleplay IRC, and I roleplayed as a Luxray. And I kid you not, spending several years roleplaying as one is what helped me build confidence in myself, because the way that I played the character was not the way that I conducted myself in real life, but the way that I played that character led to me some of his confidence in himself kind of bled back into me. I'm sure anyone that does writing has had this happen before, where they're yeah, I put myself into my characters, but there's parts of my characters that ended up back in me, and I'm like, whoa, my own writing has changed me. So I thought that was pretty crazy. So that's why I have an appreciation for him. Even though he's a very slow boy, he's not very competitive. But there's a lot of Pokemon that I like. I like Espeon, I like Pidgeot, I like Goodra, I'm trying to think of who the other favorite that it has. There's some of the staples that I'm just as crazy about as anybody else. Arcanine, he's a big boy, he's a boofer. I literally have the $400, $500 plush of him from
Oh
Pokemon
my god,
Center.
I love that.
He was very round when I first got him. But as the stuffing has settled over time, he now has a more appreciable size. He only takes up half the couch instead of the entire couch.
Oh my god. He's losing weight.
I'm sure if I were to bug my wife, she'd probably come in and remind me of one other favorite that I constantly talk about. Snom? Is that its name?
Yeah. The ice bug? Pokemon? Yeah.
I didn't think much of Snom until I
It's so adorable too.
Post. I didn't think much of him until a single Instagram post where two Snom are dancing to this really disco-esque music, and
oh my god,
I was
so
Snom is a baby and deserves to be cherished.
He is a baby. Must protect.
I want to see if I can. I'm gonna search dancing Snom.
Okay, let's go.
Find the video and share it. Is this it? This has to be it.
Snom appreciators, rise up.
I need to see if I can. There's the same GIF as posted, but it's usually with the same music, and I'm trying to find a specific one. But I'll just share one of them either way.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll share the one that I know, or that's easy to find. Here you go. So as soon as I saw that, I was like,
let's check it out.
I love Snom.
Nom protect. Okay, where is that? Sharing. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Opening. Oh. Close. Yeah. Window capture. Where is that? Wait,
so many different songs. Yeah, the GIF image is the one that I was immediately thinking about. But there's a version of that with a different song that I like a lot more, and I can't find it very easily. So
I found it. Here you go. Yeah, this is Snom. I don't know. Wait, I'll move the camera a bit. There we go. Ta-da! Okay, I'll play it. Behold.
We'll always remember. Yes, my chat knows the Snom dance emote. I loved it so much that I had the little dance ripped out, and I use it as a sprite in my stream chat.
That's adorable. Who animated it? So nice.
I'll try to have to find the artist later so I can credit them properly.
Okay. I will have that brain rotting in my mind later. Thank you for sharing, Snom.
For sure.
Snom appreciators, where are you? Okay. Yes. We will always remember the Snom dance emote. Awesome. Thank you, thank you. Okay, I did want to mention that, well, you can see I have a Pokemon plushie as well. I have Pikachu, Charmander, and Yamper, the Corgi Pokemon, because I have an IRL Yamper over here.
My wife is a really big fan of Fido.
Oh, that's so precious. The bread dog. Yeah.
If they made a cat version of that, their name should be Croissant.
Oh. Big brain. Oh no.
Oh, I've been addicted to that joke recently. Just every time I have a chance to mention.
No. Oh no. Okay, yes, we will remember that forever. So, but I think to answer the same question, I just want to say that, okay, my favorite is actually Dragonite, not Yamper. But Dragonite has always been my favorite because he's a chonky dragon, and dragon is my favorite element type of all time. And yeah, I got the I got the honor of being a 2-time gym leader for Pokemon Philippines. I was the dragon gym leader for a while with my friends over here, Game Booker. So yeah, that was pretty cool. We got to, I mean, you have to let the disclaimer, you have to let the challengers win, because
right.
the gym leader can't always like win, you know what I mean? So I wasn't super competitive about it, but the whole experience was super fun. But yeah, let's go Pokemon. Charizard, thank you for showing us the Babu. Okay, yeah, more Gravy appreciation. His name is Gravy. He's sleeping and it's his bedtime. Okay. So let's go back to the questions. Last few questions. Yes. If you can use all 7 Genshin visions in real life, what would you do and why? From Blue Rose.
One more time, repeat that question?
Oh, if you can use all 7 Genshin Impact visions, like the elements and types.
Oh, man. Well, my Luxray side is showing, because I would definitely be going Electro.
Yeah, Electro!
I mean, electricity is cool if you can use it to heat up water until it, becomes boiling, so you technically can start fires. You can keep your Switch charged without having to have an outlet, just kind of like let it run through your fingers, and now I can have 14-hour gaming sessions instead of 6-hour gaming sessions. So, yeah, Electro's the way to go.
True. I'm also Team Electro. Most of the characters I've cosplayed from Genshin, like Raiden Shogun, that's
what I was thinking of.
The boss herself, I just had to cosplay the boss version because Electro. Woo. Okay,
For
so.
Sure.
All right, moving on to the next question. Of all the Zelda characters you voiced, which did you enjoy the most?
Of all the Zelda characters I voiced, which did you enjoy the most? So people would probably think it was Rivali, because he's the sassiest and he's the one that most people talk about. But it's not, and I actually think it's a tie between Teba and the Great Deku Tree. They're on equal level. Teba is because Teba was a case where when they showed me the character sides and his design, I told Nintendo, I said, I know exactly what he sounds like in my head. And they said, all right, show us. And I did it. And they were completely happy with it. They had no, changes to make. They had no requests for tweaks to do. So what you hear from Teba was the voice that I came up with. And it was completely fine by their standards from the get-go. And I'm very proud of that. But also, Great Deku Tree was originally the only character that I was cast as in Breath of the Wild. And the other two came in the middle of production when I was already recording for that. So he's the reason I was even in it in the first place. But also because it is just crazy to me to think that so far, and I'm not saying I hope I'm only ever his English voice, but so far, to my knowledge, I am the only English dub voice of the Great Deku Tree. And as someone who very intimately remembers being a young kid, like less than 10 years old, in Toys R Us, staring up at an Ocarina of Time screen and playing through the early game over and over and over again while my parents were shopping around, to realize that I've gone from seeing the Great Deku Tree when I was 8 to voicing the Great Deku Tree when I was 28 is so crazy to me. It's unbelievable that out of how many billions of people on this earth that I am the one who voices him in English. I don't think I'll ever get over that. So
it's like a full circle moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys here on the chat as well, if you continue to pursue your dreams, improving your skills, self-improvement and all, you're gonna have your full circle moment too. So I'm rooting for all of you. Yay, let's go! Okay, so last but not the least, our very last but not the least question, we have also from Blue Rose. What are your thoughts on the dub versus sub war? Some people say dub just ruins the anime. We're talking about anime, so...
We already got paid. That's the real secret. And we can talk all day about whether dub is better or sub is better, but here's the thing. If you are watching it through a legal channel, it doesn't matter what version you're watching it in. You're still supporting the company. Either they're getting ad revenue or you purchase their product. And that's why most of them provide both. And by providing financial support for them, you are helping them afford their future projects or things that they want to provide, which may be future English dubs. There are definitely English dubs that have been financed from the money that they made off of people watching the Japanese subs. And as a performer, again, I take it upon myself to be like, enjoy the product however you want, you know? For me, it's about accessibility. There are projects that I enjoy being able to hear in English because I want to study my colleagues and the performances that they did. But at the very end of it, it doesn't matter because they already paid me. How much you enjoy it? I mean, I wish we got residuals off video games. We don't. We should probably fight for that in future contracts. But how much you like my performance only matters from an emotional closure context. It does not matter outside of that. So you can complain, you can call the English dub the crappiest performance in the world, and if I think there's genuine merit to it, I'll keep it in mind for the future. Otherwise, I'll just smile and nod and go back to doing my thing because it doesn't matter. So
exactly. And people like Sean are professionals. They've been doing this for a long time. Like he said, like 10 years. That's amazing. Imagine.
If you think it sucks, jump in. What I mean this sincerely. This is not go in, become an actor. Like, anger is a tool. Use it. If you like, I remember that there was some. I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to like cast shade on it. But there was something in my life where my wife and I experienced something together, and we went, this could be so much better. Like, literally, we were sitting there going, they didn't do this, they could have done this, we could do way better. So we did! We did it the following year. We took part in it, and we were like, for no other reason, because we were like, we want to show people what a high-quality version of that can look like. So if you are one of those people who's like, this dub sucks, you know, I would prefer to listen to Japanese, why even bother doing it? Get in the career. Go take workshops. Show us how to do it correctly, because either you will prove to yourself that it's not as easy as it looks, or you will be better and you will make it sound better, and then all of us will have someone to learn and steal from. So that's my invitation.
Feel like an artist. Yeah, that's so true. A lot of people actually have a lot to say, especially on the internet. But that shouldn't stop you from continuing to do what you love doing. Okay, right. So a lot of people actually don't know what they're talking about. More often than not, you're gonna get more hate comments or like know-it-all comments on social media. I think you're doing a bad job. Okay, but I think I've been practicing this longer than you've ever tried. So like, I could say that at least I'm growing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, I hope that gave you guys some enlightenment. But yeah, that is the end of our Q&A. Oh, we have okay, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
This is the very, very, very last. From Alfalfa Mojica. I hope you reads my story on chat. I'd like to verify if Erica, the Anne voice actor from Persona, had a safety chat last year. I don't have any means to ask her directly. What do you mean by safety?
No idea what that's referencing. I hope that it's like, if this is asking whether they had like a Q&A event or like a chill chat, that's on them. That's up to their schedule. If this is more of like something about someone's personal life, like if they meant like a safety check, not only is that not something I would know about, that's not my business in the first place. So I can't answer that for you.
Yeah,
sorry.
Exactly. I think we could shift it to a more light question.
Right.
Have you met Erica before? And can you share any?
We've been in some workshops together. Like I said,
cool.
as voice actors, we don't often get to record in the same booth together. So it's really up to how social we are as individuals. So I'm sure Erica has a lot of folks that they hang out with or that they do meetups with. This is where my introvertedness comes in. I tend to be a person who I go out, I do my work, and then I just drive home because I don't want to deal with the traffic. But that's just how I operate. I do also see that Aster asked, what are your favorite Thanksgiving foods? Pumpkin pie, baby. Pumpkin pie. It's also one of the few times that I will have mashed potatoes with anything else besides just butter. During Thanksgiving, I will load those mashed potatoes. I will take, on a single spoonful, I'll have mashed potatoes, cranberry, butter, stuffing, like a little bit of everything, and I'll just take it all at once. Most other times, I will just do mashed potatoes with salt, pepper, maybe a little bit of butter. But I let myself cheat for Thanksgiving, but pumpkin pie is a staple. I've had pumpkin pie by itself. I've had pumpkin pie that was really just an entire can of whipped cream with a pumpkin pie center. No, that's the way to do it, you know? That's I will surround it. If I could, I would make a pumpkin pie sphere where the very center is pumpkin pie and the outer sphere is whipped cream, and then I would chill it, and then I would just eat it throughout the day like a popcorn ball. So
I would love to try your pumpkin pie sphere if ever you do it. But yeah, thank you so much for this interview, but also live Q&A with the Pixies and the rest of the community. We had so much fun. Ari says she had so much fun. Thank you for giving us this opportunity from hearing from you again. And yeah, they say it's worth staying up a couple more minutes or hours. So to those who weren't able to make it, you can still watch the replay on YouTube. It's gonna stay live, don't worry. And if you're not if you're new to the channel, you can always subscribe for free. It's YouTube. You don't need to pay anything to be a member or anything. You can just enjoy what's the content here. And yeah, I do hope you stay tuned and look forward to more stuff like this, because I really do plan to talk more about self-improvement and relating it to video games, like what I did in my last video, which was more about like actually mindfulness and how video games actually teach you things like that. So yeah, I hope you stick around, and thank you so much again to our special guest over here, Sean. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you all for your time and
thank
your
you
questions.
guys.
If you celebrate Thanksgiving where you are, I hope you have a wonderful day and don't overeat too much. Not too much. We can have a little overeating as a treat, but be reasonable about it. And consider dropping by my stream sometime. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing Battle Network 2. Saturday, we're going to be doing Super Paper Mario. Sunday, we're going to have a community event with Jackbox, if you guys want to get in on that. Monday, like I said, is going to be the final part of Small Saga, which I'm also live dubbing with people. And then Tuesday is Etrian Odyssey 3, which is one of my favorite franchises of all time. So if you want to see what I'm like when I'm an extroverted introvert, that's a good way to find out. It'll be twitch.tv/sonicmega.
Do check his streams out. Hooray!
Oh, and since you mentioned, I'm sorry, since you mentioned
Yeah,
Gank
sure.
earlier, I saw that there was the auto
right.
message for Gank. I also have a Gank Now profile. If you go to ganknow.com/sonicmega, I have an online store where some of my prints are being stored, and you can order a physical print to be signed by me and shipped out directly to you. So it's a nice way to support me and also get something of mine of a character you like, even if you aren't able to come to a convention I'm going to.
Alright, do check out his gank. That's a way you can support him even from afar. And yeah, a lot of people are saying, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well, Sean, and like, yeah. I hope this interview helped everyone here, including the two of us, and I hope you guys keep chasing your dreams, because that's the entire thing about this channel. So yeah, thank you so much. A lot of people stayed the entire time. We appreciate you. Thank you for listening. And we hope this truly help you guys. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for sharing your time with us, and I hope to see you around again next time, maybe in person the next time. Finally, because we were literally in the same convention in Conquest, but
yes,
we were both busy.
That was so packed.
Intense.
Oh my goodness. Especially when they extended the hours that one day.
Yeah, I was so shocked.
I remember I took a half-hour
nightmare
nap
for
under my table.
introverts. I know.
And by the end of the night, I was the only talent still there. They had like posted a security guard by my table because there was no one else there for them to look after. What an event. That was so fun.
Truly. So yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you around next time, guys. Bye, Pixies. Bye.